1 solid hour of in-depth analysis of the machinery that makes our country tick. The Edge, cutting into the matters at hand.
Good morning, Sinkers and Nevis, and welcome to The Edge for Monday, June 10th, 2024. I'm Devonne Cornelius, and thank you for joining me on the program for today. In studio with me is Dr. Lionel Rawlins, National Security Advisor to the Government of St. Kitts and Nevis, and he has joined me for a conversation on the government's role in crime prevention. And just to provide a bit of a background as to who Dr. Rawlins is, he has been professionally involved in conflict resolution and peace building as a mediator, negotiator, facilitator, trainer, and conflict coach, dispute systems designer, and professor. And he has consulted for private, civic, military, religious, and community organizations. Dr. Rawlins, welcome to the program, and thank you for accepting the invitation.
Well, good morning to you, Cornelius. It's good to be here, actually. I've been watching your show, so I was wondering maybe one day I might get on your program. So I'm happy to be here today.
Well, it's great to see that you've spoken it into existence. So welcome, and let's get into our conversation. So as I just mentioned, we're here to talk about the government's role in crime prevention and what exactly should the community expect from the government in assisting with combating crime and violence. You, as the National Security Advisor, what exactly is your role, and where do you fall in all of this?
Okay, it's a good question because many people ask me that question, and in talking with people think that I'm a policeman. And they also think that all I do is work with crime and criminals or with gangsters and gangsterism, and that is so far from the truth. As a National Security Advisor, I oversee anything that affects the country negatively in terms of crime or violence or terrorism, if that were to be the case. So, for example, anything to do with NEMA, with health security, food security, water security, cyber security, which is something a lot of people do not pay attention to, but it is very, very prevalent here. And so anything to do with economic security, anything that affects the safety and security of the country falls under me and under the National Security, the Ministry of National Security. So my portfolio is quite large. I'm not just handling crime and violence. I also oversee all the other aspects that affects the country in a negative manner. So people don't think about food security. Well, that's a part of it. Human security, people don't think of that, but that's a part of the portfolio.
And thank you so much for providing clarity on that, because when you hear National Security Advisor or Security Advisor, one would automatically think it's related to crime and violence.
Exactly.
And so thank you so much for providing some insight on that. But I want us to get into the government's role in terms of crime prevention, and later on you could provide some insight into the other security aspects. But I want to begin with the Elevate program. And we know that the government launched this program as an upgrade to the peace program to offer opportunities to at-risk youth, to at-risk men and women, to give them a second chance at life, a second chance at society. In a nutshell, what is the program about? What would you say the program is about?
Well, the elevate, just listen to the word itself, and it's to elevate people out of the situation that they're in. And it could be, some people might be in dire situation, in dire straits, and the object is to help them, to get them out of that situation. And it is not just, a lot of people think too that it's only the gangsters who are in the program, and that it's only young people who are in the program, but there are many people in that program who have no affiliation with gangs or associated with gangs. And we have some very elderly people. There are people who are out there who actually really truly need help, and the program does that for them. And there's several stages in the program, but during the program, what we do is train them, bring them in, and we train them in different things. But during that training, there are some elementary things, training that they must go through, like, for example, financial management. If they give you a business, you come and you don't know how to manage your money, you don't know how to budget the money, then you're going to be at a loss. So this program is designed not to just teach you just the basic of how to start a business, but how do you sustain that business, and how do you maintain that business, how do you take it from there. And we have several people from different walks of life who are fully aware of the needs and wants of those people, and we put them in those classrooms and teach those people very well. So in a nutshell, it is to get them out of the situation where they, put them in a situation where they are well prepared to manage their lives successfully going forward, because you're not going to be there forever.
There are people who argue that they have not been feeling or seeing the results. What is your response to that?
Well, the results are there. You have to think of it as also that the program has just begun, because it spiraled from another program that was there, or the programs that were there. So we are still in the stages of teaching and training and programming these people to transform their lives. And yeah, there might be people who might want to see some ready-made, all of a sudden type of success, but things don't work that way. You have to work towards it. It's a program that you have to go through. On the other hand side of it, we have succeeded. People only see and hear when somebody is being shot and killed, but they do not know the many who we have prevented from going out there and shooting people. So the Elevate program has already prevented people from going out and hurting others. But people don't see that. And because they don't see it, they figure that there's no success. Well, there is success. And it's going to get better as the time goes by. It's a very good program that we need to get to support, and we need to actually advocate for that program.
So basically buy in from the community, get members of the community to support this program for better results.
Absolutely. And it's not just because you want to see something on the street, or you want to see numbers, but support them. There's going to be people, we're going to be asking you, if you're a plumber, can you help? Can you employ some people to work for you? If you are a landscaper, can you help these people? So we want the community to buy into it and help wherever they can. And if you have some special skill, training, knowledge, come to us and offer that training and skill to these young men and women, or in some case older men and women, but the people who need it most, because that is where we need to move these people forward. I've been in places in all over the world that have these same programs, and they are called different names. I was in a place where they called it the Skills Acquisition Program, and it's the same thing that we are doing here. And in the places where they have done it, it has been quite successful, getting people off the street, giving them the ability to work for themselves, manage themselves, think for themselves, and stop doing the crazy things on the streets that we read so much about in the news.
As a security management expert, I'm certain that you have seen or are aware of the, let's say, top 10 risk factors that would encourage one to venture into the life of crime. Can you speak to those risk factors as it relates to St. Kitts and Nevis, and what is the response from the government to address those risk factors?
I'm going to give you an answer from the criminological perspective.
Okay.
You know, there's a lot of people, you know, when they discuss crime, you sit down under a mango tree and you said, oh, this is what's happening and that is what's happening. And to some extent, sometimes they might be onto something. But really, criminology is a science. And we do the things, we study the things that will tell us all about crime. So to answer your question, there was a man named Emil Durkheim who was studying how white people commit suicide. And he came up with a theory called the anomie theory. And essentially, the anomie theory said that there was a tremendous shift in social values, a radical shift in social values. And the second part of it was that there was a rapid change in social, in that was affecting society, rapid and vapid changes. And the last part of it was that there's a breakdown in law and order. Now, let me tell you when that was. This was right after the Great Depression.
Yes.
So fast forward today, it's affecting America today so severely. And who are the people who have been affected by these findings for suicide? Children in high school who are being bullied on the changes, you know.
Right.
So if we look at it, we have social media that's creating all of this stuff that people write nasty things and people go and kill themselves. Well, fast forward some years later, a man named Robert Merton, took that anomie theory and put it on teenagers and juveniles and juvenile delinquent. And what he discovered is what is affecting us today. That children, teenagers, people to the early 20s, in the layman's term, if there is something you want to attain or obtain, and you cannot get it through legal means or legitimate means, you're going to get it illegitimately and illegally. So if you're a young boy or young girl, you're 14 years old, you want an iPhone Pro, the 15 is over $3,000. You cannot get it legally because you have no money and you're in school. How else would you get it? You rob people, you join the gangs, you do the things for the gangs, and you do all of these things that will make it easy for you to make money. And if you're a young girl, what do? You find some man who will quite willingly want to give it to you. So all that in a nutshell is saying, if the young people today, if they want something and they cannot work harder to get it, and they cannot get it legally and legitimately, they're going to get it some other how. And that is because our values as a society have shifted. And then we have all of these social changes, these rapid social changes like social media, the glamorization of gangs, the glamorization of what we see gangsters doing. If you're a 14-year-old boy and you see a gangster with his big gold chains on his neck, what do? You want to be like him. I mean, there used to be the peace program where people used to want to be on the peace program. People wanted to be this and wanted to be that. No one wanted to be a soldier, a police, an accountant, a journalist. They wanted to be in programs that would enable them to make easy money. And that is the problem what we have here today.
I'm happy that you mentioned the social changes and the negative impact in terms of social media and how it has negatively impacted our generation today, because there are so many things that you see on all different forms of social media, games, TV, you name it, and these things, they have these algorithms that they basically study you and they suggest certain things, and unfortunately you have a case where they are raising today's generation, and because of what they see on social media, it influences their thinking, thought process, and all of that. Dr. Rawlins, it's 11:15. We'll have to take a break, and when we come back, we'll continue our conversation. You're listening to The Edge for Monday, June 10. I am Devonne Cornelius, and thank you so much for joining me. Dr. Lionel Rawlins, National Security Advisor, is in the studio with me for today. Let's take this break, and we'll be right back.
Join us every Wednesday for In Focus, a weekly talk show produced by the St. Kitts Nevis Information Service, where we provide exclusives with key persons within the government and discuss pertinent, relevant, and interesting matters that affect us all. Tune in every Wednesday, live on ZIZ Radio and streamed live on Facebook at SKNIS Media and ZIZ Online. In Focus, your government, your business.
Hey, I'm Mary J. Blige.
Alkaline. Hey, I'm Cat from Third World. Nicholas Branker here.
I'm Freddie Jackson.
You already know what it is. Rose.
And this is your boy Ketidan inviting you to our annual St. Kitts Music Festival.
Yep, that's right. From June 27th to June 29th, Mary J. Blige, Alkaline, Third World, the Nicholas Branker Band, Freddie Jackson, Rick Wass, and Ketidan will be joining Adamo, Akayu Sweet, T-Bone, Itabulous, Easy, Speedy, Pumpa, Nadia Batson, Corwin Dubois, Mr. Mention, Asa Bantan, Small Axe Band, Michael Tasia.
This madness in the capital, so I feel like I'm running tongue again.
Kabaka Pyramid, Jados, Busy Signal, Tommy Lee Sparta, Cableton, Massacre, Greenhouse Band featuring Mishka, Highlight. Ramon Watson, Tony Rebel, Brianna D, and 450. The 2024 St. Kitts Music Festival at the Warner Park Cricket Stadium, June 27th to June 29th. Big names with bigger vibes. This is where music meets paradise.
Boy, Joe, I feel hot. But guess what? Me now wait till that. Oh, here the top class AC and refrigeration services got up to 25% off AC units and spare parts for refrigeration. I'm going up there right now, like when you're driving past Greenlands on the corner of Shaw Avenue and Keon Street. What the number be? Because I don't want all to done. What is 660-9899 or 663-5314? Me tell you, boy, the heat is on. When me put on the fan, it just a circulate hot air. So me done plan to buy a AC unit, you know. But no, up to 25% off till Saturday. I'm going top class right now.
Feeling hot, hot, hot.
Welcome back to The Edge here on ZIZ Radio, 96.1 FM. I'm Devonne Cornelius. If you're just tuning in, Dr. Lionel Rawlins, National Security Advisor, is in the studio with me today, and we are looking at the government's role in crime prevention and combating crime and violence. So far, we've had a really great conversation in terms of the Elevate program and the different aspects of national security that is looked at. I want us to look at early intervention in terms of what do we do today, what do we do now to prevent young men and women from venturing into the life of crime, and what would encourage them to venture into the life of crime? So let's have a conversation about that. Your professional opinion.
But that is a very good question, and this is a question that is often debated amongst the experts, because people ask, where does it begin and where does it end? And what most of the experts believe is that it begins at home. Now, there are three types of causes of crime and criminal behavior. And again, this is the criminological aspect answer. You have biological, which is something went wrong with when you were being created, something went wrong with the wiring in your body. Yes. Then you have psychological, which we say crazy, but we don't like to use that word. Something also went awry. Maybe it could be anything. The child was sick. He got bitten by an insect. He fell down, hit his head, but it affected him. And then you have sociological, which is the one that affects us the most.
Yes.
The things we learn in society. So where does it all lead to? It leads to the parents, the parenting. Now, it's unfortunate that many of us have many homes are broken, and is either a mother raising children by herself or a father by himself. It's not that we have so many nuclear family who are doing this. It's usually single parents who are doing it. If you're out working and you have to come home to take care of your single child or your children, it's difficult. So what do you do with those children at that young age is what determines how they're going to develop later on. Because as we all know, children start to develop their personalities at 2, 3, 4, 5. By the time a child is
Very
6
early.
years, yes. By the time a child is 6 and 7, his or her personality has already been formed. Who he is then is who he's going to be for the rest of his life. You cannot wait until a child is 14 and 15 to actually get into his life and try to reform and transform him. It does not work that way. You got to catch that child when he's 2. He's trying to figure out the world, or she is trying to figure out things. So the things you do in front of that child is developing that child. If you're drinking alcohol and getting drunk in front of that child, the child is learning that. If you're smoking your weed in front of the child is learning. If you're beating your spouse or your girlfriend in front of your child, the child is learning. So all of these things that the child is learning. If you leave your child home at night and run away and go to a dance and no one is taking care of the child is starting to believe, I'm in this world by myself. And so this is how it begins. So when we ignore those formative years, those transformative years, and then bring those children forward to 12 and 13, you think you can change that child's personality? It's already set. If you're a parent and you have a child who is 13 years old, it's 10 o'clock at night and you are home watching the 10 o'clock news, but your 13-year-old son or daughter is out and about and you don't know where they are, that is a problem. So you see where it comes from. Now, we throw these things though onto the teachers because now it becomes the teacher's problem, because a child spend almost 8 hours, 6 hours a day in school.
Yeah.
On a Sunday, you spend all day in church and Sunday school. So the parenting now want the teachers to be the leaders in their children's lives. And it cannot happen because those children have already been transformed into what they think they're supposed to be. And the church can't do it. They can do some things, but they're not capable of that early intervention that the parents missed out on.
Mm-hmm. So early intervention is exactly what it says. You have to begin at an early age.
Very early.
And if your child is displaying certain signs that are deemed to be, let me say, worrisome, then you need to act fast.
If you don't, then you've lost that child. Sometimes a young child is 1 year, maybe 2, 3, and he's acting out. Some people tend to say, oh, he's just a boy. Or they will laugh and say, she's a crazy girl, she's just like her grandmother. Mm-hmm. But no, you need to take these are indicators that tell you your child needs help. Mm-hmm. And we need to go to a specialist, go to the social services, go see a counselor. That is when you need your religious leaders to come in and try to help out. Don't wait until the child is 10 and 12 and 20. It's too late.
It might be too late, yeah. You are familiar with the saying, it takes a village to raise a child. And I'm pretty sure you heard this a lot growing up.
Yes.
It takes a village to raise a child. And so where mommy and daddy couldn't do much, your trusted neighbor or a family friend or a family, somebody would step in and provide that parental guidance or that mother or father or parent figure. Are you seeing that today?
It's a very good question. No, I have not seen it, but I've asked that question. I have asked that of people. Because when I grew up, that's how it was. You know, I grew up with a single mother, and she had to work. And everybody, all of us little boys, used to be out there playing. But the old man and the old lady, they're watching you, but they're not saying anything. But the moment you get out of line, I'm sure you grew up in that way as well, because you might be a little far removed from the current children today. You probably came out of the tail end of that kind of generation, and I'm assuming that. But today, when I ask that question, this is the response I get. Boy, I can't do that anymore, because if I were to do something and try to correct my neighbor's child, even my family's child, the parents will descend on me like hell, and before you know it, I'm either being taken to court or beaten up or threatened. So nobody wants to get involved. There's a hands-off kind of relationship now between neighbors and their neighbors' children. Nobody wants to get involved because they don't want to be perceived as getting into somebody's business that they shouldn't be in. And that is a bad thing.
It is. What about parents who are... There are some parents who try their very best. And they, well, in their opinion, they try their very best, and they ensure that all that their child or children need, are provided for. They're in school on time, they help them with their homework, they're there with them after school, they go to Sunday school, they do everything as they see right. They correct the child, they get professional help, but the child still turns out to be delinquent.
Right.
What went wrong?
There's a lot of things. That's a complicated thing there. You remember I told you that it could be biological. Something could have gone wrong. The mother or the parent tried, just like you so eloquently put it. They did everything they possibly could for that child.
Right.
And that child went just took the wrong road. And it could be they had two children. One went east, the other one went west. One went to the university, the other one went to prison. And this could be attributed to so many different things. It could be, again, a biological reason. It could be psychological, which these things play a very important role. And you find out that many, in the U.S. now, we have determined that many of these people who fit that bill that you just mentioned, they are on many psychotropic medication. Some of them are on Prozac and different kind of medication. They're either bipolar or something. But they have determined that, the reason why this guy all his life has been in trouble with the law is he's bipolar, or he's a sociopath. You know, at 10 o'clock in the morning, he's like an angel, and 2 o'clock in the afternoon, he's like the devil. And no one could understand why. But this is why we need to get these kind of counseling, and we need to get these measures in place so that we can put our troubled children in, so that they can benefit from these training. This is something. By the way, peer pressure also plays a large role in it. Peer pressure is a very dangerous thing. And, you know, if you started hanging around with someone who's smoking weed as an 8-year-old and a 10-year-old, and all your friends are smoking, you will smoke at one time. There's a 99% of opportunity for you that you will, or chance, that you will try it. You might not do it with as regularly as them, but you will try it. And just because of peer pressure and how life is the acts of human nature.
So when you really look at it, there are several factors that would encourage one to venture into, let me say, the life of crime, or that would encourage one to become delinquent. And Absolutely. If there aren't early interventions, it's going to come to a point where that child or children, they're far long gone, and there isn't much that you could do. I remember having this conversation with some of the callers where we basically agreed that once a person has made up their mind to commit an act, whether it is to go out and murder someone, or whether it is to rob someone, or another form of crime, there isn't much that you could do between now
and then.
Because they made up their mind last night.
That is so well said. A man leaves Sandy Point with a gun, and he is bent on going to Newtown to kill a particular person. Not even the FBI or Scotland Yard or the gendarmes from France. No one can prevent that from taking place, because the man already know, I'm going to Newtown and I'm going to murder this man. There's nothing that anyone can do but pick up the body at some point. So these are that's a very good point, and I wish people would understand that, so that when a man, it's very unusual for someone to say, I'm going to go over there and I'm going to kill this man. People don't do that. They just go and they will do it. And so what we have here is a culture where people do not know how to settle grievances and discipline. It is much easier to grab a gun and to settle a score than to go and do conflict resolution or conflict management, or to settle it. Let's just settle it and have a conversation. It's just easier for the guy to just pick up a gun and shoot somebody. And then, so where does that come from? Where did that cultural shift, cultural change? We think we were never like that. We were some of the calmest, coolest people in the Caribbean. So where did that paradigm shift come from? Where instead of settling down and discussing our grievances, we feel it's just easier to take up a gun and settle the score. And that's a problem.
It goes back to what we were talking about earlier, in terms of the societal factors, where if one decides that they want an iPhone, and that iPhone is $3,000, they're in school, they're not working, but they're hell-bent on getting that iPhone, they are going to do whatever they see fit to get it done, whether it is legally or, in this case, illegally.
Exactly.
And it goes right back to what we've just mentioned. If somebody is angry and pissed and they don't see the need for conflict resolution, and the only way they see to get out of this mess is to murder that person or to do some other form of violence, there isn't much that you could really do to stop them, and that's unfortunate. But you're so correct that people think like that.
You have to teach them. This has to be an ongoing process. A lot of people say, okay, we're going to teach conflict management, and you do it, yeah, and you did it in January, but you didn't do it again for the rest of the year. They get a certificate and they forget all about it.
So it has to be continuous.
It must be a continuous, and you have to start it in school. I think that conflict management should be a course that is taught in schools, where you must teach it. And it's just like you take history and geography. That's how you take mathematics. You understand? It must be a course that is taught. And so the student, and by the way, it has to start from elementary all the way into high school, where they have to write papers on conflict management. As you mentioned in the beginning, that I'm a conflict resolution. I am the Director General of Conflict Management, Early Warning and Peace Building in the Sahel, in Africa.
Yes.
And I still have to do Zoom calls with them to do conflict management over tribes. When I say tribes, I mean literally tribes. A tribe of about 2 million people.
Wow.
Angry with another tribe of 2 or 3 million people over water in the Sahel. And I'm here on Zoom having to sit and, well, they know who I am because I've met them and they know who I am. But just to show how technology can be used.
Right.
And we sit down, they sit there in the Sahara Desert under a tent. I'm sitting wherever I'm sitting, and we are discussing it. But we also have other people in on the call. It's not just me and them. And this has to be something keep going on, otherwise they will massacre each other. And when I say massacre, I mean like 200-300 people murdered. Wow. And so this is something I know very, very fervently, very passionately. And it has to be done on a regular basis. You can't just say, I'm going to do it today and then wait until December or January to do it.
Has to be a continuous process.
Continuous.
Totally understand.
But if you did it in school, it will be continuous. And children will be less apt to pick up a gun and go and shoot someone because he's angry. And what do children fight over? Either colors, red or blue, or you watch my girlfriend, I looked at your girlfriend.
Yeah.
Those foolish things. Those things will be fixed.
And you know, as you mentioned that with it being taught in schools, that right there is early intervention. And so you've already set the foundation.
Exactly. So they know. And because they keep hearing it every week while they're in school, you know, you're 10 years old and somebody upset you and you're angry and you want to stab them with a pencil. You figure out, let me go and have a discussion with him. I am not happy about what you said about me, so I want to talk to you about it. And conflict resolution has begun.
Awesome. It's 11:37. You're listening to The Edge here on ZIZ Radio, 96.1 FM. We'll take a call. We'll take a break, and when we come back, we'll open the phone lines and begin taking calls at 465-2555 or 718-577-2916. Let's take this break and we'll be right back.
Jeff, you leaving already, boss? You sure you could drive after them drinks?
Yeah, I could handle it, yeah. Ain't too far from here. I'm gonna take my time.
God. Jeff, you're gone. I told you not to drink and drive.
The problem with drinking and driving is the morning after. Drink responsibly.
This message was brought to you by the St. Kitts Nevis National Council on Drug Abuse Prevention in collaboration with SKNIS.
From the heart of ZIZ Radio comes a political talk show like no other. The Edge, with host Devonne Cornelius giving you his take on the biggest stories happening in governance today. Got something to say? Let's hear it. Give us a call at 869-465-2555, Monday to Friday from 11 a.m. to 12 noon. One solid hour of in-depth analysis of the machinery that makes our country tick. The Edge, cutting into the matters at hand.
Hello and welcome back to The Edge on ZIZ Radio, 96.1 FM. Thank you for joining me in the program for today. If you've tuned in late, in studio with me today is National Security Advisor, Dr. Lionel Rawlins, and he has joined me here today to speak about the government's role in crime prevention and how the community can assist. We have our first caller for this morning. Hello, caller, you're on the air. Good morning.
Hello, Mr. Cornelius. And your guests in the studio. I was born in the Federation, but I've been abroad most of my life. When I was young growing up, we had fear of the police. And we had people who used to mentor us, talk to us about getting in trouble and stuff like that. But when we took on the influence of the United States and outside forces with television and cable and all that, a lot of our young people idolize those people, like rappers and people that glorify violence and stuff like that. So I believe the problem is they need to start a mentoring teaching for young people at a very early age. And instead of showing them the negative stuff, show them all the positive. Because I'm 77 years old. I live in New York. I never been in trouble because I always was a fear of my parents and my grandmother and the police. When I grew up, a police carry nightstick, but we never walk across the station late at night. We walk down on the Bay Road because we don't want the cops to see us. So we had that strong fear of the police and the consequence. They used to give us lashes on the police station if you're a juvenile and you commit a crime. All those things used to help, but now with television and the exposure to the world, it's very difficult. The same problem happened in New York with the juvenile system. Young people doing the same thing they're doing St. Kitts and all over the Caribbean. All right. That's my take for today.
All right, thank you so much, caller. Do we have any more callers on the line? 465-2555 or 718-577-2916. Dr. Rawlins, would you want to?
Yes, the caller is actually correct. I was happy to hear him say that when he was growing up, he was afraid of the police. Every one of us were afraid of the police. Actually, we respected the police so much that if we were walking on the sidewalk and a policeman was coming towards you, you step off the sidewalk as a boy and you allow the policeman to walk by.
Yes.
Adults would, not so much, but we as boys and children, yes.
Mm-hmm. We have a call on the line. Caller, you're on the air. Good morning.
Good morning. Yes, good morning.
Yes, caller, good morning. You're on the air. Go ahead.
I did run away from the radio a bit, so I missed something. The gentleman was talking about the program in terms of helping the youth, them in terms of training them and so on. What is the contact for getting youngsters to be a part of a shop or something?
In terms of who do you call and a number?
Like if you want to help to train some of them or something.
Okay.
Well, I do not know that I could not offer you a number to call but I would say that the social department, the social The people who handle the social welfare and deal with children and those sort of things, I believe that they are the people who are best positioned to handle any kind of situation where children need help.
Mm-hmm.
In my instance, I cannot do that. I can advise and I can direct them where to go, but I am not directly involved in the training of children. I'm more on the other side of policy making and driving policies forward.
Caller?
Okay, so you're saying it's best to get in contact with social welfare programs and so on.
Yes, sir.
Yes.
Get in contact with them there for that.
And I hope you're going to do something about it.
Sorry?
I hope you're going to do something about it. I hope you will bring some children off the street and get them in some programs.
Well, the thing is yes, it's okay for me to do that, but then the government will have to play the part in it too.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely. I will help you in that direction.
I'm willing to, but they'll also have to do their part.
Come see me, let us talk.
Okay. So how can I get in contact with you?
Okay, let me give...
You want to call us back off the air, caller?
Okay.
Yeah, we'll have...
What number
let me
to call
give you the number. We'll call it, we'll leave it, I will leave it for you, sir.
Okay.
All right. Let's take this. We have any more callers on the line? 465-2555 or 718-577-2916. It's 11:45. You're listening to The Edge on ZIZ Radio, 96.1 FM. And if you're just tuning in, National Security Advisor Dr. Lionel Rawlins is here, and we are speaking on the government's role in crime prevention. I'm not sure if he wanted a number specifically for the Elevate program. What I can say there is the best option is to call the government switchboard and direct them to the various departments and what have you.
Yes.
But off here we were talking about people who may have information. We know oftentimes whenever the police are investigating a matter, they would always ask the community for assistance, right? There are people who are genuinely afraid of giving information for fear that that information would get into the wrong hands, in the sense that they would know that Von Frederick said it. What is your response to that?
Yes, and there should be a concern for people to feel that way, because all over the world, wherever you are, sometimes the police are not straightforward. Not all of them. The majority of police really are trying, but there's always that 10%. I want to say though, we have a witness protection program that is about one of the best in the Caribbean. I want to bring it up where it can be one of the best in the world. And we are working fervently towards that. Where if you think that you can give us some information that can help solve a crime that took place, and you are very afraid of the repercussions, we can fix things for you. So don't be afraid. Do not be afraid. We can do all of these things. Now, you may not want to just go and tell a regular police, because he might be a tainted or a corrupt police.
Yeah.
So if you feel that you cannot go to the commissioner of police, come to see me. Come to see me. If I'm the National Security Advisor and I cannot keep you safe, then I shouldn't be. And so, apart from that, if you feel that you cannot see the commissioner or see me, go see your pastor. Or go see a community leader, because those people will not let you down. And we can take somebody who you trust and can be trusted, and we will take it from there.
It's 11:50 and we're taking your calls here on ZIZ Radio 96.1 FM for The Edge. Dr. Rawlins is here and we're speaking about the government's role in crime prevention. Dr. Rawlins, we've touched on the Elevate program, your role, early intervention, risk factors, community assistance. We've looked at the collaboration with the police and what have you. What else would you like to add to the conversation?
Well, I wanted to congratulate the police for doing an incredible job in the last couple of weeks. Many of the people who have committed murders have been arrested. And people who have committed robberies have been arrested. People who have committed a lot of other crimes have been arrested. But people don't hear about those. They listen more about the murders. And we have, and we do have, it's not like before when people were arrested and they were able to go to a smart aleck lawyer and were able to walk away free. Because we have a well-managed and well-directed forensic science department under the Latoya Lake Marshall, who and her team, they are doing incredible work, and they have developed a system where there can be, where the mistakes that were made in the past will not be made. We just had a training by RSS and CARICOM Impacts last week, or had a whole week of training on crime scene management.
Okay.
So all of these things, we have strategies in place that we never had before, that we've implemented, and that is why we are catching the murderers now. People who have shot, and I wanted to say, there's the ACP Mitchell and his team of investigators. They are top notch and they're working tirelessly around the clock, as is our forensics. And we have strategies in place that if you commit a crime, there's a strong probability and possibility that you are going to be caught right now. If you might get away the first time, you might get away for a day or two or a month or two, but at some point, we are going to nab you, and we're going to grab you, and we're going to bring you in and put you in trial, for trial. So I would say kudos out for the police and the great job that they have been doing. And I know it's not often that people give them that kind of tap on the shoulder, because most of the time, every time there's a murder, people take it for political gains, or people take it for whatever personal, and they will vent. Oh, there's another one, there's another murder. I believe whenever there's a murder, we should be grieving. Our country is bleeding when there's a murder. We shouldn't be rejoicing. We shouldn't be celebrating, and because it favors you. So we are at a point now where if you commit a crime, and I hope the bad guys are listening, if you commit a crime, at some point we are going to get you, because we have all of these things in place and they're working very well. Some good strategies and some very simple that you'll be surprised if I told you what they are.
Dr. Rawlins, thank you so much for joining me in the program for today. It has been a very fruitful conversation, and I am happy that you've come, of course, not just to share with me, but of course the listeners, so that they could get a better understanding of what your role and how they could help in decreasing crime and violence in St. Kitts and Nevis. And it has to, continue with the help of the community, right? It has to continue with the help of the community. I too would want to congratulate the police for what they've been doing. I can tell you that whenever they mess up, we are hard on them. And
as you should.
As we should. When they mess up, we are hard on them. But when they do commendable work, we ought to recognize them.
Absolutely.
So thank you so much for joining me. You've been listening to The Edge for Monday, June 10, 2024. I've been your host, Devonne Cornelius, and joined by National Security Advisor Dr. Lionel Rawlins, speaking on the government's role in crime prevention. Until next time, you guys stay safe. Continue to enjoy the rest of your Monday. Please don't drink and drive, don't text and drive. Have a good one. Coming up next, our midday newscast.
From the heart of ZIZ Radio comes a political talk show like no other. The Edge, with host Devonne Cornelius giving you his take on the biggest stories happening in governance.